Okay, welcome and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrew O'Mullane. I am the chairperson of the Public Sector Division, and I'm delighted to see a substantial interest in today's talk. The subject of the talk is district heating, a subject which is very much relevant to the issues of today as we seek to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and deal with large industrial processes which generate substantial quantities of heat as a byproduct. Our talk today focuses on a major Dublin District Heating project in Dublin, obviously, which I understand to be one of 3 district heating projects on the go in Ireland today. This talk comes in conjunction with Dublin City Council CPD members. Okay, yeah, and it's also a talk with our colleagues in the Energy, Environment and Climate Action Division. So welcome again. This is the second talk from the recently formed Public Sector Division. For a lot of you, this will be your first interaction with the Public Sector Division. Okay, we're not a brand new division. We'll be familiar to you as previously being the Local Government Division. And just if I can talk for a minute on that, I suppose the purpose of the change of the division was to recognise how engineers in the local government sector often interact and their careers often move around between sister agencies within the public sector. And I suppose as part of these career choices, we wanted that to be reflected in the needs of our community. So we've expanded our remit to be of service to all public sector engineers as they progress in their careers and provide a forum to share ideas and experiences of engineers across the public sector. So today's talk is in conjunction with Dublin City Council CPD Committee, and we're delighted to be able to share today's talk. Indeed, if any members of the public sector have a topic which they feel would be of interest, please do make contact with the division and we'd be delighted to include you in a future talk. So before I start, I'm just reminded of a couple of housekeeping notes. Engineers Ireland CPD training team will host an online classroom course on the fundamentals of district heating. That's on Tuesday, the 30th of November. This course aims to introduce key concepts and fundamentals of district heating systems across the main stages in heat network developments, from initial heat planning and policy, business case development, through to design and construction of the network. Please note, questions for the speakers should be entered into the Q&A box located at the bottom of people's screens and not in the chat function. We will only be answering questions from the Q&A. If we do not get through all the questions, we'll be able to email you a response. The event is being recorded and a link to this record will be sent to all attendees on Friday afternoon. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our colleagues from Dublin City Council, and I call on Mr. John Flanagan, Assistant Chief Executive and City Engineer. John.
Thank you, Andrew, and a very good morning to you and everybody that's able to join us. I will give a very brief introduction to our talk, and I suppose first of all, on behalf of Dublin City Council, I want to thank Engineers Ireland and the Public Sector Division in conjunction with the Energy, Environment and Climate Action Division for inviting us to give this presentation on Dublin's district heating project. And also to thank all of you who have taken the time to actually join us on what is one of Dublin City Council's CPD talks. It's our regular talks, and this is a first online presentation that the City Council and Engineers Ireland have jointly carried out, and hopefully the first of many. Dublin City Councils and formerly Dublin Corporation's engineers and technicians have had a long tradition and a history of serving the city and delivering and maintaining and operating the city's engineering infrastructure in many areas, such as in roads and streets, bridges, public lighting, traffic management and control, waste management, drainage, flood defences, water and wastewater, and more recently, water and wastewater services being delivered under a service level agreement with Irish Water. And now the newer areas such as active travel and the subject of this presentation, and a new transformative area of engineering for the city being Dublin's district heating system, which is we really see as a low carbon heating solution for Dublin. The district heating system in its first phases is planned to serve the Poolbeg and Docklands areas of the city, and will be one of Ireland's largest district heating networks. In climate action terms, it will be a low carbon alternative to that of a traditional heating system, and will transform these areas of the city in the way they will use heat energy into the future. The project requires an estimated capital investment of 73 million. It's taking 90 megawatts of heat from the already constructed and operating waste to energy facility in the Poolbeg area to serve up to 10,000 dwelling units and 1 million square meters of commercial space. And really, just to look at the details now behind the project, I will hand you over to the City Council's engineers who are working on the delivery of the project, and that is Victor Coe, who will go through the background of the district heating project. And hopefully, if we can get the technology working, we may be able to show a short video introducing the scheme. And then we'll go to Stephen Cole, who will go through and describe the engineering behind the project. And then we'll go back to Victor, who will go through the governance structures on the project, the procurement routes, and really what lies ahead for the city with district heating. So I won't delay any longer on the introduction, so I'll hand over to Victor, if that's okay. Victor, thanks.
Thank you, John, and thank you everyone for coming along to our talk here today. I hope this will work, and I'm just going to share my screen. So again, welcome and thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about our district heating scheme. Before I say anything, I'm going to go into our video, which is essentially a world premiere. I only saw this video earlier a few moments ago, so I'm looking forward to getting your feedback on it. So I'm going to let this video run.
The climate is changing faster than ever before. We need to work together to transform our future and avoid catastrophic climate change. Our climate action plan sets out how we will bring Dublin to near zero emissions by 2050 and make Dublin resilient. One way this enormous effort starts is in your rubbish bin.
At the Dublin Waste Energy Facility, over 1,500 tonnes of waste arrives every day. Here, the waste is incinerated, which generates heat that in turn generates enough electricity to power 100,000 homes. But we're going to take this one step further. Soon, we will be able to take that heat generated by your waste and in addition to producing electricity, use it to heat at least 50,000 homes and buildings in Dublin City.
By taking existing rubbish and turning it into heat, we're reducing waste and reducing carbon emissions. But it's also better for people who live in Dublin City. It's cheaper than existing solutions, and you won't need a gas boiler in your house or apartment anymore. So less noise, less maintenance, and it'll free up valuable space in your home.
This is the Liffey Service Tunnel. It's an artery connecting many major services between north and south of Dublin City. The large black pipes that you see will carry the waste heat from the waste energy facility in the Docklands, which is the first major area that will be connected to the new network. When the district heating pipes reach a building, they simply connect into an existing heating system, providing instantaneous all-year-round heat. In most new buildings, the switchover will be quite simple. The existing gas boilers can be removed and a small heat exchange unit put in this place.
But we have much more heat being produced than the Docklands, Ringsend and Poolbeg areas will use. So next we will need to connect new development and social housing to the district heating network in Sandymount and East Wall. But our plans are bigger than that. We want to bring the future to old Dublin. So we will need to connect older buildings throughout Georgian Dublin to the district heating network.
That's not as hard as it sounds. Christchurch, the oldest building in our city, is already being heated using district heating. So if we can do it in this 1,000-year-old vault, we're confident we can do it in any other building in our city.
District heating will not solve the climate crisis on its own. It will take a wide range of different initiatives, many of which will require innovative thinking and cutting-edge new technologies. Dublin City Council is keen to pursue many of these initiatives in order to transform Dublin into a leading green capital city and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to near zero by 2050. In doing this, we will help tackle climate change and make our city a more livable place for all.
Excellent. So that'll be going out on our streams there through Dublin City Council Twitter account in the near future. So watch that space, and I hope you enjoy that video. It'll give you a good overall understanding of the scheme. So Andrew asked me in the early stages, well, what is district heating? How does it work? How does it operate? What is the technology behind it? So district heating is essentially large super insulated pipes, what they call super insulated pipes, that run underground. Now they can run overground, but generally run underground from heat sources like the heat sources that you can see listed on the screen here, from data centers that we hear a lot in the news at the moment, or from deep geothermal or geothermal energy, natural gas, biomass, solar, or household waste incineration or waste recycling, as we're doing here in Dublin. And piping it into people's homes and people's basements into what some people term is an energy transfer station or a heat exchanger. This type of equipment, there's many different types of them. So I Googled this particular graphic here. I thought it was quite a simple explanation of how these things work. So the fluid one, which is the district heating, the primary heat, the primary liquid coming from our network will flow in to one side of a plate exchanger. Will flow down that side of the plate exchanger. It cool down as it's heating the plate itself, and the water will then come out, exiting quite cool. So the secondary system, or the system that the water that's within your building, will enter cold, and as it travels on up the other side of the plate, it gradually warms up, and it enters or exits the plate exchanger, exiting warm, heating your house. And I've always been kind of surprised at the size of these heat exchangers, or plate heat exchangers. You know, there's one there that you saw in the video earlier in Christchurch Cathedral on the right hand side of the screen there. And that is the size of that plate exchanger, the heat that heats that rather large and old and not necessarily BER, top BER building in the city. So I'm always quite surprised at how small they are. On the bottom of the right hand side, you can see the condensers in the Dublin Waste Energy Facility. They kind of do the same thing, but they're converting steam into usable heat for the network. So they're the condensers in the Waste Energy Facility itself. So why district heating? The UN have this statement that they realize that modern district heating energy is the most effective approach for many cities to transition to heating and cooling. And some of us will be familiar with the early forms of district heating that we would have had in places like Ballymun and areas like that, which would be an early generation of district heating. So in the Dublin scheme, we're going for the fourth generation. Now, there is a fifth generation system, so I'm not going to enter into that debate here at the moment. But basically, the fourth generation system can have any heat source in it that you can see there on the screen, or any heat that hasn't even been invented yet. Like, so if there are other technologies that could be invented over the next couple of years, they can be connected up to a district heating network. Essentially, a heating network is heat agnostic. It can take heat from anything. So why is Dublin City Council moving forward with district heating? Well, it has reduced carbon emissions. Dublin will be less dependent on imported fuels, and I mean imported either into the country or into the city of Ireland, the city of Dublin. It's less. It uses more local energy resources and sources. It has fuel flexibility and resilience. So it essentially uses local sources of waste heat and local heat sources that can be connected into the district heating network. it can provide greater decarbonisation of the heat sector, which we know is quite difficult to decarbonise. The installation is labour intensive, local labour, local products. Okay, the pipes might come from outside Ireland, but basically everything else is local. The blacktop, the expertise to put the pipes in the ground, the stone, the traffic management, the design, all that kind of stuff that is largely local. Improved safety, having no fuel in the home. You don't need gas or oil in your home anymore. And increased energy efficiency. And so where does Dublin get its energy from at the moment? And these figures come from the last census. So hopefully we'll be interested to see what happens with the next census that we have next year, to see how the figures have changed, and maybe in the next couple of censuses when district heating gets rolled out in greater numbers across the city, across the country actually. So in Dublin at the moment, the fraction that is considered renewable, geothermal, on-site generation, biomass and biofuel is actually quite small. So hopefully with the rollout of district heating, these numbers can increase or will increase. In relation to the carbon emissions from the city, as you can see, most of them come from residential and commercial. So that's exactly the market that district heating will be able to make a dent in. So we will be able to reduce carbon emissions in relation to residential and commercial in the city over the next while. So in relation to national policies, the first mention that I could find in our national documents is in the Energy White Paper from 2015. It had a one-liner in relation to developing a framework for district heating. We were quite excited about the National Development Plan in 2018, where the project itself got mentioned, and there was a couple of mentions in it in these documents to roll out district heating specifically to the larger cities around Ireland, Limerick, Galway, Cork, and so on and so forth. So district heating in these documents, it can be rolled out in certainly any large urban centres around the country. But also the government established the Climate Action Fund, which is a fund of €500 million worth of grant aid funding to schemes such as this. And we were very excited that we got an allocation of up to 20 million from the Climate Action Fund back in 2018. Following on from that, there was some text in the Climate Action Plan, which was great. The department had a public consultation in 2019, and again, this is a significant development in relation to the rollout of district heating across the country. And of course, Dublin City Council submitted a kind of a report in relation to how district heating could be rolled out in greater numbers across the country, and that report is available on the department's webpage, along with many other reports. It focused on four things: research, regulation, planning, and financing. Moving forward to this year, 2021, and the Climate Action Plan, our current National Climate Action Plan, has 6 actions in relation to district heating, and we're very excited by this, and we're engaging with the department, ensuring that if they need any help or support or advice, or we can help them with moving those particular actions along. And certainly we look forward to working with our central government friends and colleagues to move that forward. In relation to local planning, the Eastern and Midland Regional Assembly, which Dublin sits under, has text in relation to district heating, talking about things like strategic energy zones, talking about using heat mapping to support developments, feasibility assessments for district heating, and identifying waste heat sources. In relation to Dublin and our policy in relation to district heating, we have had district heating text and policies in relation to district heating since 2011 in our 2011 development plan. The North Lots and Grand Canal Dock planning scheme, what we commonly call the Docklands SDZ, has a text in relation to district heating, talking about buildings in there need to be district heating enabled. Moving forward, our current city development plan is text in relation to district heating, and it's kind of firmed up a little bit on what we're looking for there. The Pubag West planning scheme, which is the most recent planning scheme we had in in the Ringsend and Poolbeg area of the city goes a step further, and it talks that about buildings shall be district heating enabled, and pipes shall be installed in roads and streets. So again, all these things de-risk the rollout of district heating in the city for us. And then in our climate action plan, there's actions in there that relate to district heating. So moving forward to the new development plan, the new development plan has taken a lot of the comments, a lot of the policies and objectives from the Eastern and Midland Regional Assembly, and it's going through public consultation and drafting processes at the moment. So hopefully I expect all these to remain in the document when it does get made in January of next year. It has those decarbonizing zones, the strategic energy zones, and it talks about the regional energy master plan, and is asking developers to think about the climate, to submit climate action energy statements. So there's a lot of extra information that we're going to get from that particular development. Cadima, which is Dublin's energy agency, have been single-handedly flying the flag for district heating for an awful long time. They're experts in energy management, and in 2018 they produced this Dublin City Spatial Energy Demand Analysis, and it's a very interesting document, and they have analysed the heat demand of the city, and at the time they reckoned that 75% of the city is suitable for district heating, for the rollout of district heating. And building on that, the Irish District Energy Association, in partnership with with ESB and various universities such as Halmstad, Aalborg, and the Heat Roadmap Europe have produced a web page, which is a really, really interesting web page. So no matter what council you work for in the country, north and south, actually, Northern Ireland and the Republic, you'll be able to have a look at this kind of web page. Click on it, the link is there, and you'll be able to have a look at what your heat demand. It's well worth looking at. There's a lot of information in it, and if anyone's interested in developing district heating networks, that's probably the first place to go. In relation to sources of waste heat, again, Cadima have done an awful lot of work on this, and have analysed city and the region looking for waste heat resources. So as you can see, there are a number of waste heat locations in the city. So I've just overlaid our Dublin District Heating scheme there. But there are other district heating networks in the cities like Grange Gorman, James's Hospital, New Children's Hospital there, and Elm Park. And that's just to mention a few. There's a lot more district heating ready to connect buildings and complexes throughout Dublin. One project that I personally am very excited by, and I've learned a hell of a lot from, is the GeoUrban project. It's a project that we have partnered with numerous organizations and entities there, as you can see listed on the screen, investigating the deep geothermal potential underneath Dublin City. So that report is due to be published quite soon. So we're looking forward to that, and so watch that space essentially. So Dublin City Council, our role in it was to provide help and support to that project, and so the installed seismic monitors throughout a lot of our buildings throughout the city. You can see the red dots there on the map, and right hand side there you can see the little recording unit, a small little recording unit, and it monitored seismic activity underneath the city. We also did some electromagnetic surveys in Merrion Square, and that was really interesting developed there. So watch that space. So I'm going to hand you over to Stephen. So hopefully technology will allow Stephen to take control of the screen here.
Yes, as I said, I'd like to follow up with what Victor and John Flanagan have been saying. It's a great opportunity to be offered to the Dublin District Heating System, or the DDHS, to present. So I'd like to thank Andrew and his colleagues from the public sector and the vision for this opportunity to, I suppose, talk about district heating and the benefits of district heating. While a lot of the people on this meeting, and I know some people on site that I've been dealing with in the Docklands area, are aware of district heating from whether it's a contractor side or from the designer side, because a lot of people have actually worked throughout sort of Europe, throughout the UK, where district heating is more widely used. But I always think this is an opportunity, as I say, for the Ireland sort of market to get a bit more understanding about what we're trying to achieve. So as you can see, the map that we have in front of us here, minus hopefully the black box that you see there, shows from the waste energy facility down in the Pullbeck Peninsula, which is the main heat source for this particular part of the network. So we will be coming from, I don't know, Victor, if you're able to, the next button where the graphics will come in.
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, so as you can see there, Victor had mentioned earlier about the Docklands SDZ, the Strategic Development Zone, and the Pullbeck West Strategic Development Zone. As you're well aware, the Docklands has been well and truly established since 2014 when the SDZ documents were sort of issued, and part of that, as Victor went through, there is planning issue or planning compliance that all buildings have to be district heating enabled, and likewise now down in Pullbeck. So as you can see, we have the Dublin Waste Energy Facility in the bottom right-hand corner of the facility. And over a period of time, you can see there up at Spencer Dock, the next slide, or the next one will show then the Liffey Service Tunnel and then the new road at the Point Depot. Dublin City Council has taken the opportunity when it has arisen to install key parts of the infrastructure. Though those areas there, sort of particularly at Spencer Dock, were laid while the Lewis line was being done. So in order to prevent any sort of disturbance to the Lewis line when we're coming along later on, those pipes were installed at that particular time, and the Liffey Service Tunnel was actually installed as well in circa 2008. So that's a key sort of connection from sort of the south of the Liffey to the north of the Liffey. So as I say, we've done this over the period of time, and the yellow lines that you see here are the other routes that we're looking at, and we're currently going through site investigations to prove the routes coming, as I say, from Pullbeck West up through Ringsend to get up into the Docklands north and south. If you go to the next slide, please, Victor. So the key technical recommendations by Ramboll, who are our current technical advisor for the prelim element of the design. As Victor was saying, Kadima, or the Engineers Ireland through Kadima, and John O'Shea will be doing a presentation in a few weeks' time that will be a little bit more detailed in regards to the technical stuff. So I will leave the finer details to that presentation. So just to give you an oversight of what we're trying to do, the Dublin Waste Energy Facility will have the potential for 90 megawatts of heat, and that the design has been proposed to leave the waste energy facility at 85 degrees and to return them at 45 degrees. We're also going to be providing a backup boiler, an energy station. This is a requirement because the waste energy facility has built inside its sort of operational plan a 5 days sort of closed down for maintenance. So we need to be able to have that backup, and also the backup is there if at peak demand times that the capacity is there to sort of to keep the water flowing at the required temperature. The network, we are, as I said, the map, if you go back to what we had done or shown before, there is 14.5 kilometers of pipe that's flow and return. So that's 7.25 kilometers approximately of what we're laying in the initial sort of phasing of the works. The pressure, the design pressure will be 16 bar, but in actual, the operational design pressure will be closer to 2 to 3 bar. So as again, you can see sort of the pipes there, and these are the pipes that would have been in on the north-south road beside the Point Depot. Next slide, please, Victor. Yes, throughout the actual design, these are the key, or we call them the Bibles. For any district heating project, you have the two key documents there, the EN 13941 and the -1 and then -2. The -1 is for the design, and the -2 is for the installation. They're the two key documents for any district heating projects throughout Europe, and I even throughout the world, because these are the sort of the standards that all our contracts for all the projects and installations to date have been sort of in accordance with our previous versions of it. The other one then that's key is the EN 253, which is responsible for looking after the classification for the pipe, the actual sort of steel pipe. And the other important one then is the EN 1419, which is in relation to the surveillance system, because one of the key things about the district heating projects is the alarm wire system that's included inside the sort of like the pre-insulated pipe. It's a Nordic system that we're using in our system, and that's going to be key because that's used to highlight if there's any faults in the pipework or in the system, whether that's leakages from the inside or whether it's damage from the outside. And the accuracy of the alarm wire system, it basically sends an electric pulse through the wire and that within 1 meter, it will tell you where the fault is actually occurring in the ground. Next slide, please, Victor. The technical advisors, Ramball, have done a lot of work for us. DCC, you'll see there firstly the technical information pack for developers. And if you're a developer or designer in the Docklands area, you would have been sent a copy of this, but a copy of this document is available on our Dublin District Heating System webpage. And in that, it will give you a detailed, it needs to be updated, but it will give you a detailed sort of A to Z of how to install district heating pipes in Dublin, sort of Docklands area. Ramball have also produced an engineering review report for us, and the business delivery model. The business delivery model will be, I mean, we will be going out to tender for a new technical advisor for taking us through the sort of the detailed design and for the engagement of the sort of the partner to run. Victor will discuss that in more detail. Other reports that we're currently doing at the Dada Crossing, as you can imagine, looking at the drawing, one of the key areas for us to get across is from sort of where the boat club is. At the toll bridge area to get across to the bottom, or to get across to the John Rogerson's Quay area. So that's going to be a key, and it is not going to be easy, but as I say, it's going to be interesting from an engineering point of view how we actually get across the Dada at that location. So there is other sort of documents that have been produced by Ramball who have given us a lot, and also we have been involved with Logstore, while there is other pipe manufacturers out there that provide district heating sort of pipes. We predominantly we've been using Logstore pipes, and I suppose in a strange twist of fate, Logstore, which would have been a Danish pipe manufacturer, have recently been purchased sort of during sort of late summertime by Kingspan. So actually Logstore are now a part of the Kingspan group, so it's actually an Irish company that would be leading the way in district heating pipe manufacture, which I think is actually quite good for us as well. Next slide, please, Victor. Just to give you an overview of the Dublin Waste Energy Facility, it was a private-public partnership between the 4 local Dublin authorities. The An Bord Pleanála gave approval in 2007 for the planning, and then the EPA granted the license in 2008. Construction then, as I say, started in 2014, and at a construction cost of 380 million. It was completed in November, so 4 years ago. It has been fully operational, feeding back into the national grid. As you can see there, about 80,000 homes. We can feed 60,000 megawatts into the national grid, which equates to 80,000 homes. The heat, I suppose, the license for the facility is 600,000 tons of waste produced annually, and that has been constant sort of over the time since operational. From a district heating point of view, there is a capacity for 90 megawatts, and 90 megawatts, depending on house sizes or apartment sizes or hotel or commercial building sizes, has the potential for 50 to 80,000 homes, which is quite substantial for the Dublin area. Hopefully we will get to that. Next slide, please, Victor. As I mentioned earlier, we will have to have, as part of the network, because we have to offer 24/7 sort of heat, the same as gas or whatever it may be, that's the existing sort of heat. So I suppose in the past, a lot of the energy stations would have been quite sort of, as I would call, Russian monolithic structures. But as you can see throughout sort of the UK sort of area, where again district heating is widely used, sort of the UK, Scotland, and sort of in the London area, as well as the Scandinavian countries. So a little bit of thought can go into the actual design. So these are some of the, we believe, the better designed sort of energy stations, which also then can double up as an educational centre. It's something that we're trying to look into as well, and that district heating can become an educational part, because I think, as we were saying earlier, while a lot of people are aware in the industry, it's to get it out to the sort of the citizens of the city, to make them aware of what district heating actually is and how beneficial it can be for them and to the environment in general. Next slide, please, Victor.
We might go through this quickly, Stephen, if you don't mind.
Yep. So these are literally, as we said before, these are the pipes that were installed at Spencer Dock whenever the Lewis line was being sort of installed. So if you probably recognize the buildings there. So these are just photographs. If you want the next one then as well, please, Victor. This is a sort of a cross section of the Liffey service tunnel. As you can see, the picture on the left hand side, the district heating pipes are the two with the sort of the red sort of caps on them. As you can see, the top pipe has got a slightly sort of thicker sort of insulation. Victor's got the mouse over it there. That is obviously the flow, the supply pipe. You want to keep the sort of the thermal capacity as much, and then the lower pipe has a sort of less insulation to sort of accommodate the heat loss and go back into the facility. So the pipes that we have actually in the Liffey service tunnel, the outside diameter of those pipes are 710 mil and then 630 mil for the return. So they're actually quite large pipes at that particular location, but they will go down to maybe 150, 100 as part the further we get away from the waste energy facility. Next slide, please, Victor. This picture then shows, as I was saying, the arm wire system, the bottom left-hand side, the February 2019. That's the sort of the copper wires that are running through the insulation. It's called the Nordic surveillance system. And that's the wires that will tell us if there's any faults or issues with the pipe work. And the photograph then from November 2016 is the pipe work being installed in the new north-south road at the Point Depot. You can see the Capital Dock building looks a lot less, as I say, substantial than it does now, sort of in the background there, but that's just showing you that. Next photograph, please, Victor. This is the final slide for myself. This literally, as part of what we're trying to do for the design, we need to know what the actual heat loads for each of the different sort of buildings, and each of the buildings then are divided up into city blocks, and that was part of the sort of the Docklands SDZ. So the figures that we have there, the figures on the top are the district enabled buildings, part of the sort of which were either built since 2014 or currently under construction or in planning. So a lot of those, as I say, they're all estimated. We have taken them, whether it's from the designers who have given us an estimated figure, or they've been taken from the floor plans, the floor areas from the planning files that are available to us. And then the figures that are on the bottom one, that's the retrofit. That's gone out to the likes of, say, the Point Depot, whatever it may be, to do the retrofit. And we've been in contact with the building owners and with the facility managers to get those figures. So we're quite confident we've got a good grasp on the heat load for the area. And likewise, we're dealing with the designer and the developers for the Poolbeg West site as well. So that is the end of my presentation, Victor. So thank you very much for listening. Thanks, Stephen.
Unfortunately, James is not with us today, so I'm going to step in at the last minute. So you're going to have to listen to me for a second time. James is going to talk a lot about the consultations that we had with other stakeholders in 2018 and 19. We did a market soundings exercise with through the e-tenders and the official union of the European Union, OJU, and to understand what the market would like in relation to district heating. And we also carried out a number of consultations with district heating companies throughout Ireland, the UK and the European Union to understand how district heating has developed in their countries and in their cities. And that has informed how we are progressing at the moment. So the optimal delivery model from that consultation, the optimal delivery model that we have chosen is a joint venture partnership with an entity that will deliver district heating in the city for a number of years to come. The pricing strategy would need to be a discount to the counterfactual. So to encourage people to connect to district heating. Challenges that we have for district heating is there's a limited awareness of district heating awareness. Now, in my circle, obviously everybody knows about district heating, but things have improved massively in relation to that. We have the Irish District Energy Association, we have the Minister talking about district heating, and it is being filtered out throughout Ireland at the moment, so that's great. But there's a lot more to do there. In our case, the investment risk would be that at the moment there's no guaranteed customers. There's not that many public buildings in the area, so the project has to go commercial straight away. It's a new market and there are low returns for startup companies, which wouldn't be that unusual. A contract and procurement, most entities recommended that we have a single delivery partner for the city that will deliver district heating throughout certainly the Docklands and hopefully in time beyond the Docklands, and that would be a long contract length. So our current structure in relation to when you compare it to the public spending code, it's Dublin City Council at the moment, the approving authority, the sponsoring authority, and our chief executive is the accounting officer. The team includes our technical advisor, which is currently Ramball. We have financial and commercial insurance advisors, which is the National Development Finance Agency. We have legal advisors in McCann Fitzgerald, and we've mentioned Credima as our energy advisors. But in relation to what we think what we expect the future project structure to be, would be a shareholder agreement between Dublin City Council and the entity that would be the shareholders of the joint venture operating company. So what we're kind of calling JV Co or whatever, or some form like that. And that Dublin City Council, because it has largely funded the network, that the network will then remain in public ownership. And the JV operating company would be licensed, would have exclusive license to that network. And below the JV operating company would be design and build contracts, would be the operating and maintenance contracts, and the customer retail and billing elements of the contract. So there's two major bodies of work that we're doing, that we're progressing at the moment, is the technical planning and licensing element of the network and the energy centre. So we're completing the procurement of a technical advisor at the moment, and that technical advisor will have three main work packages. One is the technical input into the joint venture itself, into the procurement of the joint venture, planning and licensing for the network and energy centre, and then help and advice and design, district heating design advice to Dublin City Council for the current projects that we're building in the area, like our flood projects or road projects or bridge projects or anything like that in the area. The other big work package is the procurement of the joint venture itself. So we initially will send out a prior information notice and OJU and e-tenders to get, again, market interest in the project. It'll be a two-stage selection process with negotiation, and hopefully when these two work packages are complete, we'll start putting in the infrastructure. So where we're at the moment, we have carried out, we're almost complete with our detailed design for the Irish Glass Bottle site, which is now called the Pembroke Beach DAC at the moment. So we have sent detailed designs to the developer there, and that needs to be then knitted into his other utilities. And we are obviously going to progress with the detailed design and the route analysis of the network itself. We're going to progress with the procurement that I mentioned. We're also, Stephen mentioned the site investigation, so we're going to progress soon, very soon in fact. We are progressing with our friends in the two departments, the Department of Climate Action, the Department of Environment, Climate and Communications, and the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage. Those 6 items that are mentioned in the Climate Action Plan 2021, a lot of those items we are progressing with our friends and colleagues in the department, but specifically the Part L compliance and how district heating complies with the Part L compliance, and to ensure that the BER certification takes into consideration district heating, our projects that we're progressing. So as public investment, we will be required that we believe that the infrastructure should be publicly owned. So where we're going from here, we're finalising the business delivery model, and that hopefully will be sent out soon. Will hopefully be advertised in e-tender soon. We're finalising, we will need to finalise the funding. We have the climate action funding at the moment, the grant aid funding that we got from the department. And so we're going through that process at the moment. Procurement, as we mentioned, the procurement, we have to progress the procurement, we have to collect our customers. Now Stephen's done, we've done a lot of work on the customers in the Docklands and Poolbeg. So there's a lot of interest in district heating. So we do expect that there will be a good take-up of district heating in the area. Poolbeg West SCZ anticipated occupation. They're going through the planning process at the moment. So we hope to deliver district heating to the vast majority of the buildings in the Poolbeg West STZ. And as I mentioned, we are going through the engineering infrastructure. We're progressing the detailed design and preliminary design of the network in the area. So that's my project. That's 45 minutes. And I'm sorry that James can't be with us. He really, really wanted to be here today. I think if you have any queries following this presentation or this talk, just send them into our ddhs@dublincity.ie. We'll be able to deal with any queries that you may have. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope that I've spread the good word of district heating to yourselves.